All right. Happy fourth. The fourth may the fourth be with you. I totally forgot with all what is going on, and a lot of stuff is going on. I always forget. It's May 4th. If you guys are a Trekkie fan, obviously.
No, not Trekkie. Star Wars.
Or is it Star? You know, as long as you live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper is Trekkie. Star Wars. May the fourth be with you.
Oh, okay. All right. Obviously, I'm not such a nerd then. You know, I might have other things to do. So we call this whole episode Rethink Real Estate in Investing, because obviously we all have to rethink, because it's kind of a totally. Tell me if you can hear that music.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Good. So this is my new theme song, Can't Touch It. So I think you guys all know, my name is Lenska. I'm a real estate investor and broker, and I just have too much time on my hands lately. So I have been reading up a lot and trying to figure out what this market is going to do. And if we will see foreclosures, that's kind of the whole idea of the call today, because we're trying to figure out, because we were spoiled from the last downturn that there were really good buying opportunities. So, and we also have Leo on the call. So he did not introduce himself. So Leo, introduce yourself now.
Hey everyone, I'm Leo Clark. I've been real estate investor since 2009. I am now a developer home builder throughout the county, as well as an educator. And I got started in the REO space, from which Sandy is going to talk about tonight. And it is, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. It is I feel is going to be a growing sector of our real estate market.
Okay, so since he was saying Sandy, so we have the pleasure, and I'm totally excited, because, you know, why should you listen to me and why should you listen to Leo? Maybe you want to listen to Sandy, and obviously I was curious if we already see something in foreclosure, and I want to have the newbies on the phone call. They probably didn't know what happened in the last downturn. So we're going to explore all this today. So Sandy, just say hi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lenska. Thank you for inviting me to be on this call. You know, I always love doing business with you. You're just a pleasure, and you're just a wonderful person.
Just tell us how you and I met.
Yeah, that was interesting. I think what happened was one of your students or proteges had written an offer on one of my REOs, and she was planning on wholesaling it, but we didn't know that at the time. Wholesaling was sort of new to us at that time, and suddenly she brought you in the picture. So both of you closed escrow together on that project. And then you rehabbed it.
Can you remember how quickly we closed?
Yeah, it was, you know, it was sort of nerve-wracking initially. I think with your protege, because she was very new.
Yeah.
And we were a little leery.
How long ago?
That was Skyview, by the way.
Skyview, yes. Was it 2010,
yeah.
11? Or
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Around that time, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and then when you got involved, I mean, you just sort of basically warned me that, Sandy, you've got to be careful, you know, with these wholesalers, and you kind of educated me.
We could make a whole call of it, but yes, we ended because in bank REO, so everybody listen up, you can't just switch names on the contract. So and back then, because Sandy knows what she's doing, I was added to the contract and to the title. So that's how we forego going and doing a wholesale.
Right.
This is how her and I met, and we always have kept in touch. And so that was kind of great to make relationships and make it all work. And so she wouldn't lose faith in front of the bank, getting into contract with somebody new. And that's what happens, people. So people always think, oh, this business is easy and just write an offer or so. But when it comes to bank-owned properties and by the way, bank-owned properties, just for the people listen, that's what REO stands for, bank-owned real estate.
Real estate owned.
So we got that one. So we always, I need to play this for you because Mahesh, you can disguise a little bit how you're going to do intake your wine. So, you know, you take that little thing to the cup and then any time of the day, you practically look like you're drinking some healthy tea. So, and for the people listen, it takes me about 6 or even longer hours to put a presentation together. And yes, maybe I'm overdoing it with my slides, but if I don't have slides, then I don't know what I'm talking about. So I like to keep on track. So these informational meetings are all for free. You guys, normally I charge $30 for my field trips, but I have doing them online and also offering them free because I think right now, I just want people to learn and see an opportunity possibly in the future. But anytime somebody has invested in real estate, and they have been doing pretty well as long as you do a buy and hold. So yes, we always have fix and flips, but sometimes we talk about it, sometimes not. So please write a review on Meetup or subscribe to my YouTube channel, YouTube Lenska Realty. I post little videos and also market updates there. And then don't forget, like. It's not location. It's like Lenska, okay? And also we always like to have feedback, Leo and I, because we do have want to do other subjects and talk about it. So if there's anything you're interested in, invite your friends, watch recordings, share, and become friends on Facebook. So if you're not if I'm not your friend on Facebook, please send me an invite or connect on LinkedIn. All right, so since we want to know who is on the call, I'm usually starting a little poll, which means to know about your experience. Are you a newbie? You have a little bit, maybe done a flip or own a rental property, or you're very experienced. When I say very experienced, I'm talking about that you were in business or were you doing real estate in the last downturn, 2007, 2008. So let's see how you see today it's flip-flopping again. Oh, somebody says, oh, I'm not a newbie. I better put down I have done something. So the other people that are not voting, wake up. We want to hear from you. All right, end polling, and I'm going to share. So today we have newbies on the call, but we do have a few experienced and then very few, very experienced, just one. So hopefully we can go a little bit deeper. The newbies might be a little bit over your head, but let's go with it, okay? So usually we look at some headlines and some market updates, and then we have the interviews with the experts. So Sandy is going to talk to us about what not to do as an investor and how she sees the market, okay? Because everybody sees it different, and that's kind of my motivation. I read a lot and I see a lot of different opinions, okay? So right now I'm not Einstein, and I didn't win a Nobel Prize for economic forecast, but I love numbers and I like to dive in and I like to analyze them. And I like to try to figure out where's the next opportunity. It might not, maybe it's not in real estate, you know, maybe it's another business you guys want to start, because any crisis has always created millionaires, maybe this time billionaires, okay? So here's where we are. We started out as a good economy, and then the economy came to a squeaking halt practically. So, and also don't forget, there's always the real economy, there's the stock market, and then there are the 4 biggest companies on the stock market, which is Apple, Amazon, Google, and who's the other one?
Microsoft.
Microsoft, yeah. So pretty soon we will all be working for one of them. Just kidding, okay? So,
No, you're not.
huh?
No, you're not.
I know. So, and that's what's going on right now. Did you guys see today that Elon Musk put his 2 homes on Zillow for sale by owner?
No.
No? Okay, yeah. So that's, is he, whether somebody hijacked the listing and his own property, or is he downsizing?
What markets?
Yeah, yeah. So, and then obviously,
What markets?
Oh, he owns like 14 houses in Bel Air, and he put
Yeah.
2 of them. He put 2 of them up for sale. So
Okay, there. Yeah. So he has investment properties he's selling.
yeah, yeah. So these might be short little rentals there. So then obviously we know that the Fed is going to have Wall Street's back, right? So that saga still continues, but also grocery stocks to watch, you know, like I said, not maybe all the profits are in real estate. So, but what, so little neighborhood markets will do pretty good, I think, because people are changing their behaviors. And I think this is where the whole solving of the crisis lays, because we're trying to figure out what buyers or sellers or just regular people going to do once the stay-at-home orders will be lifted. So interestingly enough, Amazon actually signed some brick and mortar leases.
Wow.
Many of them, and where people lose
Distribution.
their retail location, yeah, because he needs to have distribution centers because the drones don't fly that far yet.
Yep.
So there's a lot of stuff in real estate to watch, and then obviously we have our supreme leader, you know, spurring up the whole tenant group calls for California rent strike. So Mahesh,
He's our supreme leader.
now, aren't we doing Star Trek today?
Oh my God. It's Star Wars.
Star Wars, okay. Star Wars, okay. But what is very interesting, look at the personal savings rate. It is up. You see that number, 13.1%.
Mhm.
So it was in February and January, it was around 8%. Okay. So obviously people getting smarter, and
No, that's the stimulus package hitting their direct deposit.
I haven't seen my $1,200.
You haven't? Well, then you better get online and go figure out what's wrong. We all got ours.
I know. Now mine, because mine is a weird tax return. I have too many probably not addendums, these different schedules. They're trying to figure that one out. So, but
Hey, you just make too much money. That's the problem.
I
Oh,
know.
yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Mahesh. I didn't want to really say that, but
If you're over 100,000 or 75,000, whatever that is. Yeah.
yeah. So exactly, then you don't get it. So how many weeks? But is anybody really worried about how much the state can cover? Because
Yeah.
the state can print money. So look,
Yeah.
the red ones have a lower reserve when it comes to covering the unemployment.
Yeah, when you hear 13 states want to file bankruptcy, yeah, there's a big concern.
But remember, the Fed, I mean, they said they're not going to bail out the states, right?
Yeah, right.
But they will, you know, they probably will do something. So that is going on. Then the national delinquency rate. So here we are, we're talking about foreclosures today. So the gray line is the record low, right? And
Right.
delinquency rate, the turquoise, you would say, we see how it's been dropping and dropping. And so just it ticked up like a little bit. So what I want to say is there's a tick up in delinquencies, but it's really nothing yet to talk about.
But that shows 05 or 06 is that what I'm seeing?
This is right here, 09, 06 is here. Yeah, so 06. So for the newbies, obviously the last financial crisis, we went up and up since 2007. So that's why we call it the 2007 through 2009 housing crisis. Some call it the Great Recession. So, you know, everybody has a little bit of a different word to it, okay? But so this is the first March increase since the turn of the century, including the years of the Great Recession and an early sign of COVID-19's impact on the market. In fact, March has historically seen delinquency fall by 10% on average, okay? So because everything is seasonal, just like in real estate. So these, I think, were the headlines. Besides, we have seen obviously the headlines about the forbearance, but I'll talk about it in a minute. So here we are. Great news. The San Diego real estate market is doing fantastic. We see a median home price of $600,000, which means for detached, we have seen it at 680. It was last month, it was 680, okay? Then the median home price for attached, it actually go down. It was at 450. So we have seen a drop in median home price in condos. I mean, I would say no wonder. Who wants to, you know, deal with an HOA and live so close. So I think the detached houses will be more or less the winner. So the market is hot. Days on market, 23 days. Pending sales, down 41%. So remember last time we analyzed it week by week and we have seen a drop. So that results in sold listings down 32%. We had in March, and this is year over year, we were down just 1% in March. But so we did see now the finally the big drop, okay? So which resulted in a price per square foot drop at, we're currently at 402. Still, that's why we don't see the price drop. We see, you know, in the quantity and the dollar amount, maybe the drop, but not when it comes to median home price. So we're still getting that 99.2%, still going up, okay? No changes, pretty much everything is still selling in any price range. So we don't have any bad news there either. Everything is obviously we have less here because there are no houses under 500,000 for sale, okay? And this is just for detached. So this does not include the attached, right? So the new listings too, obviously we're down, and we're down in every category. So what I wanted to know with this one, I really thought that we might be down in the higher price points, but because people pull their houses off the market. So here's what's, you know, what's telling you the sold week by week. So I added this column to our slides from last time. So we have seen that. And Leo, you asked me last time how many units. So I added that one so we can see how, you know, in
Per week.
you know, we had that little spurt there, and then, you know, we've been leveling off, and then obviously in that last week, we see that. So overall, April obviously is still looking good, and we see a little bit of a drop in that sales price here.
Is that county or city?
That's county.
It's county, okay.
But that includes mobile homes, okay? So that's
Sure.
yeah, a little slight slant, like if this
And attached, okay.
yeah. So, and so we're down to 615. So we have seen that was obviously selling more lower price, just a tiny bit.
Then that unit sold really isn't that great when you take into consideration attached and mobile homes.
Something is not, oh yeah, no, something is right, because we're selling about 2,000 unit a month now instead of, yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah. So obviously those numbers are down. So now you can, so here it is maybe a little bit more clear how we're doing with the off market as well, you know, how many are expired or canceled. This is pretty even here, the off market, right? But if you compare it to the amount of listings,
Yeah.
right, or new listings, then our April, a lot of people took their houses off the market. Okay.
We have 4,600 listings as a county.
In April 2019, yes.
Oh.
The gray one is April 2019.
Okay, gotcha.
The orange one is
Gotcha.
last month, and then this one is April.
Gotcha.
Everything dropped. So, but if you see that in comparison as a percentage of what we have in new listings, right, then that blue number here at 1,000 being pulled off the market, in relation, you know, is a pretty higher number. So fine. Remember last week we really didn't see that much yet, but finally the 4 months, which happens everything I think in the two weeks. Okay. So, and obviously as investors, we always want to know where, you know, are people still buying fix and flips or, you know, buying it for cash. So actually another REO broker friend of mine called me today and told me that his agents are selling land, and they are actually Chinese buyers are buying up land. Just FYI.
Said that over a month ago, buy land.
Yeah. So land is a hot commodity. It seems like it. What does it tell you? So, so we had the solds in April 2020. We had near less than half. It's about, actually, it's pretty close. Half close in cash than last year.
Wow.
So not only do we have 12,000 agents only selling 2,000 listings, so that will tell you who's going to be applying for unemployment this week.
Well, you got 2,000 agents selling 222 homes in April.
No, that's just cash closing.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have and last year we had 475. So we're pretty consistent with the FHA and VA, right? Even so, in April we sold much less homes, but then and conventional.
2,000 homes sold in April. Okay.
Yeah, 2,000 in April. And here we had how many did we had in April sold in we had 3,000. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now time for real estate for another poll. So if you guys always tell me if you think if real estate prices are going down or up or stay the same. See if we change our minds as we go into this crisis.
Nope.
Okay. Well, you guys, the headlines was about foreclosures, but everybody is very optimistic today. So, polling. Okay, so nobody thinks it's going up. So usually until now we had at least 1 or 2 people who thought it was going up. So going down less than 20%, 43. All right, and go down more than 20%, 29%, and stay the same. So actually, people now actually go down less and stay the same. So we take, actually, yeah, we have an optimistic group today. Okay, I appreciate you guys being on the call because I don't know why you guys are so optimistic. This is just our daily MLS. Look at this. We have new listings, 84. We have pendings, 115. And we have expired today, 27. And where's the sold? Sold's 37. For
What does hot list mean?
hot list is just, you know, when people make a change or something, I think it goes on the hot list. I never really paid attention to it.
Huh.
Sandy, you can chime in. You use the hot list?
You know what? I think I never even look at that. I really don't. Again, I just go off of what's active and pending and sold.
Yeah.
Well, that's got the biggest disparity. I mean, it's got over 100 homes less than your other screen.
Only like I said, when people, this number is the least important because I think when they make a price change or something, that's when it goes onto the
Well,
hot.
that says price change right above hot list. So
Yeah. So, and
What was that previous? There was screen. The screen had two graphs. What was? What is the one on the left?
you mean this one?
Yeah. So one says today, and the other one was.
That was just another day I picked.
Okay.
Yeah. So just these numbers used to be 300-400 new listings, and these, you know, it was always in the, so it's dwindling down every day. But Monday, you know, Monday is different than a Friday, for example. So, I mean, we should see more pendings on a Monday, right? Because people are looking at properties over. So just since we're on the foreclosures, just to make sure, so we know that foreclosure rate or forbearance is one of the indicators to watch if we're looking at real estate, right? The inventory and interest rates. So this is nearly an old slide already, but I changed it. So we had 10 million. It doesn't mean total. I'm just preparing you for the really bad news.
yeah.
10 million alone filed in the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
Okay. Just to make the numbers work for you, 10 million lost a job during the entire recession. Not only are those different, also different in the Great Depression, 25% unemployment was reached. The Great Depression wages were lower. I don't know by much, but I think it was 20% or something.
Well, we got to keep it in perspective because there's a massive amount of people who really didn't lose their job. They're just, you know, stay at home.
Now they, yeah.
Just have, you know, they've been furloughed.
Yeah.
Until further notice.
Furloughed or, you know, made to stay home, however you want to label it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we got
really, one of the things I don't know if you saw that, but is there a way to figure it out by like an income category or something? As you know, is it mainly the lower, you know, like blue collar who's getting affected by this, or?
okay. Yeah, so here it is. Obviously, the service industry is hit the most, right? In the Great Depression, we had, I think, about 20% working in the service industry. Today, we have 80% working in the service industry. Remember, Trump wants to get manufacturing back. So what is hit the most in this crisis? The service industry. So yes, we have 30 million. So we have about 200 million jobs in the United States. So 30 million already filed. Remember, they filed for unemployment. The people that are sitting at home are not filing for unemployment. And remember, Leo questioned that last time, said, oh, 4.1% unemployment. Yes, in March.
Right,
It went to 25% in
Right.
April in San Diego.
right. We talked about that last week.
Sandak, and here it is very clear which cities are obviously hit the hardest. Those are the people that work in the tourism industry, in the practically tourism industry and service industry.
And every one of those areas, every single one of those areas is high rent district, meaning there's a large percentage of renters.
Yes.
Logan Heights, National City, San Ysidro, Golden Hill. So the renters really aren't affecting the housing market yet.
The renters are not affecting.
They're
No.
not buying.
Yeah, no, because
Well, the thing is, they're not buying, but the problem is if they're not going to be paying rent, okay, then the landlords are going to want to sell those properties.
Maybe, maybe not. We don't know yet.
oh yes, you see this crisis will be in every part of the economy.
Yeah, but if you have a property that you bought at 200,000 and it's got a value of 500, you're not going to sell right now.
You're
Even
not
if you're-
going to
even if
sell,
you're
but your cash flow is less, which means, do you know that the economy of the United States is made out by 70% by consumers? So if
Yes.
consumers are not spending, today the numbers came out, China's GDP down by 10%.
Right, and we're 4.8.
Down by 9.8%. So we're talking major numbers. I mean, every major number that determines if we're in a depression or not is down. So we have levels of the great unemployment, like the Great Depression. We have GDP down. It was, I think, 12% down in the Great Depression. So we are nearing 10%. Then manufacturing has come to a standstill. That's another economic indicator how to determine if you're in a depression or not. So FYI, the stock market has nothing to do with it.
Right.
Okay. So I think there were two more indicators, but I get so excited because the news are there. I don't know what the third poll was I wanted to do with you guys, but I can tell you in a minute what my third poll was. Oh, foreclosure. So we asked those questions maybe before we start and after. So do you think that the current government stimulus, relief, QE, quantitative easing, will save the housing market? It is yes.
We don't see your poll. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yes, no, or we need more stimulus for those people that can't decide. Okay.
The current government stimulus relief.
So obviously you guys need to know what all those stimuluses are, but we're talking
Well,
from.
they're coming out with a couple new stimulus packages, so that's not in this. So I'm going to say, okay, gotcha.
So we have unemployment, right? The Fed is giving an extra $600 from March to July. We have now PUA, which is pandemic unemployment assistance for the gig workers, for the self-employed,
Yeah.
for real estate agents, for the Uber drivers, and for the 1099 contractors. Okay, so and we think, okay, you're optimistic about the housing market, but so if the Fed can save the housing market, then we're going to see foreclosures. Okay, and I'm glad we can help. Okay, so we have pros and cons for foreclosures. So here it comes before I let Sandy talk. So we have, the bad news is 30 million unemployed. We had nearly 3 million mortgages already in forbearance. Actually, I got a new number. It's 3.5. Purchase applications data show that we don't have, obviously, nobody's getting pre-approved. And lenders, we talked about it last time, tightening credit, up the credit scores, down payments, reserves, and, right? So on the positive, we have 8.3 trillion of disaster relief and monetary assistance, okay? That's what I was talking about, from business loans to small business loans to this, that, and the other, and including forbearance programs, okay? Forbearance programs are varied by lender, okay? So today's market is different. So the reason why I wanted to do the poll first, and then we're doing the poll afterwards, is so we have 8 huge, and that was an article in the Housing Wire magazine, and I thought that was really good. And so they listed those 8 reasons why we might save the housing market. So first of all, we all know that we came from a very strong market, and it was super healthy, right? Then we're having a very good demographic right now, and that's maybe, you know, to be discussed, because as Leo always says, you know, we have all those millennials that want to buy houses, and I always say they got no money. I'm betting on the baby boomers who have money and who's sitting in their houses, you know, forever and are not going to sell them. So then we have now a very high level of nested equity. So remember, people didn't sell their houses and they didn't refi their houses. So whoever bought their houses in 2010 and before 2017 has some healthy equity, right? So now the housing tenure is over 10 years, which is good because people have equity in it. So, and that's from Freddie Mac, but that shows you the value of the housing stock and the outstanding. So we have a very healthy debt to loan to value, so to speak, where in the housing crisis 2007 and 8, we all know what happened, right?
Yes.
Everybody that could fog a mirror would get a loan, and nobody was interested if you could make the payments or not. So there was no pre-qualification necessary. Also, the homeowners have a history of good cash flow. Before the recent crisis, homeowners had better cash flows and had already refinanced to lower mortgage rates. For years, they had fixed low debt costs in an economy of raising wages. I dispute that a little bit because the wages were not increasing that much, right? But everybody had a good job and was doing pretty well on their houses. So also, obviously, we have no exotic loan debt structures or don't confuse that the mortgages are being packaged up and being sold on the market. That one is still going on, because if you listen to the forbearance programs that they are doing, Fannie Mae asked them to not take them out of the pool, even so they are in forbearance, okay? So they're still being packaged up. So there's very little risk of bad loans or anybody getting creative. That so this buffer of no risk homes will offer some protection against the snowballing effect of foreclosures. So then we have not had a large number of cash out refis, right? From 2003 and 6, everybody refied out. So we don't have that. Mortgages, it's ticking up lately a little bit, and that is one, you know, and we have to look at if the market is going down 20% like you guys say, then we have to look at the houses that don't have 20% of equity, right? Because then these would be in trouble. So mortgage rates are lower and than the previous cycle, and as we know, everything is really stuck or on those interest rates. So here's what they did. Here your borrowers with the credit score.
I got a question.
Look, Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a little confused. If you have the cash flow to stay in your house and the market's dropped 20%, what does it matter what the equity is?
Correct. And that's why they don't need to sell.
That's what I was just saying a little while ago.
But what you just said seemed to contradict that.
No, we only, yeah, if you lose your job, right, and you don't have 20% equity
Oh, okay.
in your house.
Okay, if you lose your job, okay. If you don't have the
Yeah.
cash flow to pay the
Yeah, exactly.
to pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. All right.
Yeah. Now, the credit score, can somebody lose a job that has a good credit score?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but we're not, you see here, the gray ones, the dark gray ones are the ones 660 to 719. And then the light gray one is under 720. So the yellow ones, you see, look how much we lend, you know, to under 660 credit score.
Yeah.
And that is like non-existent. So, these are all good things. So some people say we won't see, you know, here it is, 3.8 actually. This is the new number that just came out today.
Yeah, that's nationwide, right?
Yeah, that is nationwide.
So
But
do we have that segregated by state?
no, and
You know that by state, Sandy?
I do not.
yeah,
'Cause that's a big,
from the mortgage, that's a whole different, it comes from the mortgage. And so the forbearance, let's see if I have, okay, so this will tell you it's actually worse than we think it is, because that number, that 3.8
$8 million.
is not this.
No.
It's just for the depository, which are the GSEs, which are the Fannie and Freddie and Ginnie. Ginnie Mae is the dark, I call it the dark side of the moon mortgages. Those are the ones that are not backed by Fannie and Freddie, but they are being pulled into this whole forbearance because those are the banks that are actually not in good shape because they are not, they would have to go back. If a borrower right now goes into forbearance and they don't make the payments to the servicer, okay, the servicer is just there to collect the money and pays it and watches that you make your payments and then pays the investor. So if you're in forbearance and the servicer doesn't get paid, he still needs to pay the investor, which is a huge credit problem for the mortgage servicers. So they were afraid, but the Fed put some money in for them. Trust me, they're being made whole. But if they are being backed by the Fed, then they are not allowed to take the non-performing, let's call it, forbearance loans out of the pool. So they must keep them, okay? So here it says the share of loans in forbearance at independent mortgage bank servicer, like Bank of America's and stuff, a greater increase growing to 7% from 6.5 over that period. So you add all this together, it's higher than the 3.8 million, okay? So I just got that today. I couldn't do a deep dive into what's the total, but it's a pretty staggering number. Now, all these programs will obviously, oh, here it is, will prolong foreclosures. Because what is if you lose your job and then in a year, you see the fine print and you're supposed to come up then with what, 12 months of mortgage payments of $3,000 or $4,000?
Well, no, that's,
okay.
yeah, they're going to tack that on the backside of the loan.
That's what they're supposed to. But remember, when you did a short sale in the good old days, it was always up to the investor to agree. Yeah. So this is a whole can of worm, which no, by the way, nobody can tell you where all this is going. And if you watched what Buffett did today, sold all his airline
Yeah.
stocks and is
Yes, I
sitting on
did.
a pile of cash and does not see an opportunity in this market.
Nope.
of-
Or the worldwide market for airlines.
Yeah, so he's sitting on a pile of cash. So, you know, that just should tell you where we are. And so these are about the mortgage servicers. And here, one last thing for you guys, because are people paying their credit card bills? No, it's going up. Are people paying their auto loans? Or they're delinquent? No, it's going up. People are paying the green line, the dark green line, and the light green line, the home.
Home equity line of credit.
So they're paying that.
And that's what we talked about on the last call, because we have a massive amount of people with equity in their homes. They could tap into that HELOC, because we were talking about HELOC loans being available or not. And you can get a HELOC loan at a good rate and kind of be, you know, somewhat safe right now.
But remember, you can't refi if you don't have a job right now.
I'm not talking refi. I'm just talking going out and put a second in a HELOC loan.
Yep, nobody will. Between the lines, and I think Wells Fargo was caught off the record that they are stopped doing.
Yeah, they've stopped doing that because they realized that people are going to start to do that. About a year ago, we were just told to go ahead and get a HELOC while nobody was looking. But now they caught us, so I think they're going to put a kibosh to that.
Chase is not doing HELOCs either. I spoke to my banker and they said they aren't doing HELOCs. They're doing jumbos though, but not HELOCs.
Yeah, but they say they're doing it, but their overlay right now is very, so this is kind of my point of view. I see it coming, but it's going to be delayed. I mean, we have been on this call every week now, Monday, and we have seen little baby steps. If I could go a month ago, I would say, wow, what a development. So, Sandy, describe to us what was going on in the last downturn.
In the last downturn, prices had escalated to the point where in order for a buyer to buy a piece of property, they would have to bid 10,000, 20,000 above the list price. So buyers were overpaying for homes at that time. And I think many of us probably didn't make that much money one year. In fact, it was 2006, because I was discouraging my clients from overpaying for houses. And because what was happening, prices were going up so quickly as well, is that, remember, many investors went to the outlying areas of San Diego and to rural areas because they were buying also new construction up in Temecula, because you didn't offer at the beginning of the first stage of a development, and by the time the last stage was developed, you could have already flipped the property and made profit. So it was a great time for a lot of people to make a lot of money at that time. And the same thing was that, if you had a pulse, you could get a loan. You really didn't have to qualify. So we had people buying houses that really didn't qualify. We had people overpaying for houses. We had a lot of speculations, on purchasing houses with the hope that you could flip it in six months and make, 20 or 30 grand. Some people did until the bottom fell out, until basically all of us had to go work for the banks, which is what I did.
One of the things back then was most homes, and a large percentage of them, had no equity.
Right?
Because
right. Everybody
refied, right?
Yeah.
And
right,
most
because
of
they were
those
using
percentages
their
were
houses.
8%.
Right, they were using their houses as a bank account, right? They were using all that money. And I think the fact that the banks have now stopped giving HELOCs is an indication that they don't want that to happen again.
Right.
So the people, you're right, Leo, people have a lot of equity. Some people have a lot of equity. But a lot of people, and it's part of our society, spend every dime they make. So they don't have money maybe in the bank. Maybe they've refied so many times that they've taken money out of their houses. I think that there's a lot of factors that are going to predict what's going to happen. But from my standpoint, you know, we are faced with this invisible enemy, I'm going to say. We don't know, and we don't have a crystal ball, so obviously we don't know what's going to happen. But my biggest concern are for homeowners now that have agreed to go with the forbearance. So forbearance is a wonderful opportunity for people that have to use it. You know, if you make your mortgage payment because you're not working, you have to save money in the bank, what have you. And so like Lenska said, 3.8 million people are in forbearance as of today. Let's see how much that goes up in a month from now. It doesn't, I mean, just go up a little bit, a lot. I mean, but that's going to be an indication of our future, because every lender is different, okay? Many lenders, if you sign that forbearance agreement, they're going to expect a balloon payment. They're not going to put it at the end of your loan. They're going to expect a balloon payment from you in 6, 8 months, a year, whenever that happens. So how are you going to be able to make a balloon payment? Also, if
we learned last week from a mortgage broker, remember, Lenska, there's forbearance and then there's another way to go.
The loan modification. Now, the forbearance, she is right, but Fannie Mae said that the lender should not ask for that lump sum payment, and
right,
supposed to add it to the time,
backside,
to the loan, or
right. There's some other issues too.
It's extending the loan. It's a term for extending the loan 6 months.
So there's some other issues too, though. If you have a chance to read some of those forbearance agreements, if you could get your hands on one, I would highly recommend that you do that. You know, there's other caveats to that.
Right.
I've had quite a few clients that have called me recently asking me about the forbearance agreements, and I've advised them to reach out to our loan officer who had actually got them into the loan in the first place, because it depends on a case-by-case scenario, but a lot of times they're not going to be able to you have to read the forbearance contracts. There's some stipulate where you cannot refinance. So in other words, you can't not make a payment for 8 months, then after 8 months you want to refinance. That's not going to be allowed.
But our mortgage broker last week, Lenska, who was that?
Mike with Loan Depot.
Yes, he was talking about, okay, your loan term is however many months. It's got an expiration date of this. You don't do a forbearance. He said, don't do a forbearance. Do a which extends the loan another 6 months from its completion date. There's a term for that. He had a term.
Oh yeah, deferred.
There it is.
Yes.
Deferred.
Okay.
Don't do forbearance. Do deferred.
Yes.
Okay. If your lender allows you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything, it's a case-by-case basis, but definitely you need to understand that it's going to affect your credit. In other words, if somebody's thinking about selling their house in a year or two, and they want to go buy another house, they want to get another mortgage, they may not be able to do that.
Right.
Okay. It's similar to a short sale, similar to a loan modification. So there could be some limitations on whether they can do a buy or they can do a purchase. So,
Well, a question, Sandy, are you, because you're in the REO space and I see you're dealing with Fannie Mae and Freddie, they used to have what was called the LOI, the letter of intent, which was sent out before they did the notice of default. Are they doing that now at all?
well, you know, I don't get involved in that part, when I'm involved, it's when the foreclosure is completed.
Okay, gotcha.
So when the foreclosure is completed,
Oh, it's
I'm
bankrupt.
notified, and then I go to work.
Right.
So Sandy, on the heights of the market, how many foreclosures were you dealing with in the 2007 and 8 crisis? And have you seen an uptick of lenders calling you now and listing already foreclosed homes?
Okay, back in the height of the market, we were dealing with hundreds of REOs at one time, hundreds.
Yeah.
Because we worked for many servicers and many banks, and there were a lot of people had their hands out there to get involved in this space. So, but we were managing hundreds of properties. To answer your question,
And
it is,
today?
yeah, today, I would say I'm getting ready is what I'm going to tell you. Been asked to get ready, so that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
So you don't have a notice of default list then right now?
No, I am never given that.
Okay.
See,
Yeah.
I work for the asset managers after the properties have been foreclosed upon.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So, right. So they hire me when it's all done.
Right.
Yeah. So tell us about the new changes that, you know, we realtors are now have a no pocket listing, no off market listing. So that just has become a change. So do you see that also creeping into, you know, your ability to pre-market properties?
Well, what's interesting enough is that a lot of banks have their own portals where they do advertise because the owners, right? They're advertising, you know, just like an owner could go on in Zillow and advertise their property for by owner, right? Well, the banks have their own proprietary portals where they do post their listings for sale. And you were to go on those portals, you might see my name reference. I'm not advertising those properties, but they're there, and I'm talking right now to our in-house counsel of how I'm addressing that, because I'm not marketing these properties, I'm not advertising them at all, but they're on certain portals, and it's just because that's what the banks are doing.
Well, yeah, the asset manager's putting it out there.
Yeah, that's they have it out there, and they don't have a price on it yet necessarily. They'll just have it in a soon status. So if somebody were to call me about it, I couldn't give them a price.
Right, and that's what I was asking you. I was asking you earlier about that because that's what happened towards the end of our last REO foreclosure cycle. Was instead of having a person analyze your offer, they literally plugged it into a computer, and the computer analyzed whether or not, you know, they should accept that offer. So they're not doing.
Well, what's going to happen in this round is if you are a buyer wanting to buy a property,
Yes.
you will be directed to go to a portal.
Yes.
And in that portal, you will have to, you'll have to fill out the information. You will need a realtor if you're going to that portal. And you will have to fill out, basically it's very simple, just all your information about who you are, type of loan you're getting, what have you, and then you basically upload your offer to purchase. And maybe if there's a specific bank addendum that the bank is asking you to include, or in some instances, they may just have their own contract. They're not going to go with the standard California residential purchase agreement, which is what Fannie Mae does now. They have their own purchase agreement, and that's what you use.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. That so technology will also enter even more enter the space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like the Fannie Mae website or portal, you know, because it was very clear you just upload it. So because a lot of the banks were sick and tired of the shenanigans, some of the investors were playing, and you know, and the listing agents and all this. So there's full transparencies, and it's going to be more like an auction type of bidding, I believe, than even more than it was at the end of the last crisis. So
I have a question for Sandy.
yeah.
So so Sandy is a real estate agent or broker that specializes in REOs, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what she's saying is that now the bank's REOs are on the bank's proprietary portals, and you would make an offer directly to the bank. Is that what she just said?
You're, okay,
And so my question is, how does Sandy make money?
no, I don't think you understood what I'm saying, okay? So you do, when you submit the offer through the portal, submitting it through a real estate agent. So let me back up. So the banks assign a broker to an account, okay? So whether you submit the offer yourself or anybody else, I'm still getting paid. Does that make sense?
All right, but how do you add value? Let's say I want to buy a property and I go directly to the bank and fill it all out online. I mean, I would prefer to work with someone who's knowledgeable and who can advise me and help me, you know, tailor my offer or whatever and get the property, and that's why you get a commission.
That's why you would have me. So
Yeah.
what happens typically in an REO transaction, I'm the first person that you would contact, either by an agent or buyers contact me directly, because I'm the one that knows, I'm the boots on the ground for the bank. The banks are all over the United States. It's not like you can pick up the phone and talk to the asset manager. I am your point of contact. So you contact me directly. I can tell you everything I know about the property. I've been to the property. I manage the property. I also supervised repairs. I pay all the utility bills. I pay the maintenance bills. I pay everything there is to do with that house.
How many REOs do you have right now?
Right now, we only have about 10. But
You
a lot
yourself
of
or Berkshire Hathaway?
mine. I'm a REO broker at Berkshire Hathaway.
Yes. Okay, so you got 10 within your group.
And Sandy, do you represent properties all over the country, you just said, or just in this area?
No, I have a license only in California. So I sell properties in California only.
Okay, and do you specialize in SoCal or are you all over the state?
I have gone all over the state, but I prefer to stay local because I feel I can service my clients better if I'm local, you know, as opposed to having to go to far away. But I've gone as far as Los Angeles down to San Diego.
And here's another thing that was happening back on the last round of REOs. When I was working with the asset managers and the REO agents, they were never hitting the MLS. Are they now hitting the MLS even though you got it as an REO?
Yes. Yeah. Unless there's a pool, unless I'm specifically given a pool to try and find a buyer for, you know, a pool of assets, you know what I mean? Yeah, a tape. Yeah, they're going to hit the MLS because basically my job is to get top
best
dollar
price,
for my client, right? And if that means it's going to go in the MLS so everybody can see it, well, then that's what's going to happen.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So I think, you know, this time, I mean, you know, all the hedge funds who bought a whole bunch of properties the last time, I think they're a lot better prepared now because they've already been through this one cycle and they've, you know, they know what works and what doesn't work. I think that, you know, they might be the biggest gainers of this, you know, if there is any kind of, you know, if there's a lot of REOs, I think, you know, they might stand to benefit the most because they probably have the deepest pockets and they already have a system in place now to, you know, to just acquire a whole bunch of properties without, you know, hitting the MLS or anything like that, like a tape, like what Leo was saying. We saw that happening towards the end during the last downturn too, and probably might, you know, we might not end up seeing a bunch of these, you know,
No, you won't
happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, last time we still had a lot of opportunities, even,
we did.
you know, the hedge funds were buying. So
They came in later.
Sandy, what are the do's and don'ts for investors to make offers obviously, like how we both met, it's a no-no to do a wholesale now. It's double close with the bank.
Right.
So we said, is it
What I would do if I was going to buy an REO, I would contact the REO listing agent and ask for a copy of the contract. That if there's, in other words, if there's a special contract or a special addendum, normally those documents are uploaded into the document section of the MLS for, you know, buyers to see them. But you do want to read read the fine print to see what you can and cannot do as an investor. You know, sometimes, you know, you have to be honest about who you are. Okay, if you're an investor and you've purchased Fannie Mae properties in the past, you have to indicate that. If you're an investor and you haven't purchased Fannie Mae properties, you're still an investor, but you need to indicate that. And you need to be prepared, if you're going to put the property in the name of an entity, you be prepared to provide those documents. You know, the articles of incorporation.
So I was looking up an listing, and I was looking up those attached documents, and it was clearly that it says if you have a hard money loan or private financing, then please do not mark that it is a cash offer, because every time you have a hard money or private financing, there is a trustee that's being recorded during escrow, so it is not a cash offer. What's your take on it?
I think you need to be honest. Yeah, you just have to be honest and disclose everything. This is what happens. If you're just wasting everybody's time. If you don't disclose everything up front, you're kind of just wasting your own time too. Because I know your time is money. You know, you want to get the best deal that you possibly can. So why waste your time with a property that doesn't meet your parameters of what you want to do, right? So every investor, every servicer and bank does have a set of guidelines that they put in place of how they want their assets disposed. And if you fit into a certain space, okay, you may not like the guidelines they have for you. Like you may not like the fact that there is a paragraph that's added to the purchase agreement stating that you can't resell that property for 4 months.
Right.
You know, that may not work for you, and that's okay. But I think it's better that you know that up front than later on. Because what also happened during the last cycle, a lot of people would start out saying that they were one type of buyer, but they really weren't. And then at the end of the day, when we get into escrow and the managers find out really what you're doing, then you're going to get a red mark against you. Okay? Because remember, the asset managers are people too. And nobody wants to be taken advantage of or put the wool over their eyes, right?
Actually, I still have my black book of investors I never would write up an offer for again.
Right. We all knew them, right? You always knew who to stay away from, because whatever. I get it, but
Speaking of that,
we're beyond that. There's no sense in wasting everybody's time.
Speaking of that, so you've got these 10 REOs you say that you're trying to offload or sell. They're all 10 on the MLS. How long before they go to an auction? Or what are you seeing that day?
So they don't necessarily go to auction. Okay, the 10 properties that I have are all problem properties that the bank, there could be issues regarding liens, title issues. They're just problems that the servicer is trying to work through, okay, before they go active. Before I can market the property.
You don't foresee this changing where they hold a property too long, it goes to auction?
Okay, so this is what happened. I mean, the reason why the banks started working on all these properties, remember when the market first crashed, right? The houses were a mess, literally. And all we just wanted to get an offer in place so we could give you the keys and you could close escrow and you inherit whatever's there. And then the investors started doing that. They'd go in, do a small remodel, maybe a major remodel, but put a fresh coat of paint. They gave the house a facelift. And then the house was for sale on the market in a month or two, right?
Right.
Well, the bank saw that and said, wait a minute, what are we missing here? That's crazy. You know, we have access to everything else that the investors have as well. You know, we have a listing agent that we all have contacts with vendors and people that are in the service industry to repair these homes. We all have contacts. So they end up becoming the investor. I mean, they started to look at these problem properties and they said, well, you know, we can remodel the kitchen and we can remodel the bathrooms. We can put, you know, quartz countertops and
They're
paint
putting
the
money
houses.
into their homes, yes.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened, you know. So, you know,
So again, back to the question, do you foresee these properties ever going to auction like they used to?
honestly, I don't know. I'm going to answer that question with it depends. It depends
Okay.
how many we get, okay? Because
And
nobody wants to be known as, you know, somebody asked me the other day, Sandy, hey, how come you don't have a sign? There was one of my properties out in the back country. I have no trespassing signs all over it, right? It says no trespassing all over. And there was an investor that was out there, and they basically asked me, well, how come you don't have it bank owned or foreclosure? I said, because I'm not allowed to do that. You know, the bank doesn't want that reputation. You know, they don't want like a big, you know, flashing sign saying this is a bank owned foreclosure, okay? Because it kind of gives a negative impression. And plus the neighbors don't want that either, right? So, you know, I don't know if that would, I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe if we get inundated, maybe they'll go to auction. But I think everybody's trying to get away from that stigma because nobody, you know, it's embarrassing for everybody. Okay.
But that is a good point, Sandy, you're making. You see, I don't think we all have forgotten the last crisis and
No.
neighborhoods were decimated. And I also think that the millennials that will want to buy, and there's certainly a point why people actually do want to, when the next virus hits, want to be in a house rather than in an apartment. I all get that. And some of the stats were saying that actually the online searches for the suburban areas have increased tremendously. And if you can work from home, wouldn't you rather buy a house in Calexico? Maybe Calexico is not the right, but in Ramona, sitting on a ranch for maybe 400,000, then sitting, you know, paying here in Carlsbad in a shoebox $1 million. So again, I think it proves the point that there is a chance to reprice the world, right? We're going to reprice stocks. We're going to reprice wages. We're going to reprice jobs. We have to retool. Remember my first slide? I said, nobody read it probably, but I said, Mark Twain said it, to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Yep. So now is the time to learn about real estate. Now is the time to learn anything for a new career or new, you know, new job. So we all know that this market is really depending on, I have a pretty good idea. I'm with Sandy. You know, we gotta prepare ourselves for the worst because California shut down. There was the first state to shut down, and we're probably the last one to get back to work. So the lengths of the stay-at-home orders are going to be critical.
There's a good question, Lenska, from Thomas asking, aren't REO property houses that failed to be sold at auction?
There's different types of auctions. That's the way I would describe that. Okay, so yeah, what happens is when somebody is in foreclosure, they'll get a notice of trustee sale. So the borrower will know when the home is going to be sold at a trustee sale. And
Yeah.
I think that's what people are thinking is an auction. And it's one type of auction, but typically what happens is the servicer will set a value, okay, of what they want to get for that asset based on, you know, their own analysis. They've already had the property appraised.
Loan balance.
Yeah, different factors, okay? And also what, remember what the investor wants to do, right? Because the investor has that note. So the investor may say, no, I'm not going to sell it for less than whatever that number is. And that is just not a viable option. It doesn't, there's nobody there at the courthouse steps or what have you bidding. So, and what happens is the bank or the servicer takes the property back, okay? And then it becomes what they call an REO, or real estate owned. And at that time, actually it's a foreclosed upon property. And at that time, that's when, you know, that's when it's assigned to an agent.
Well, also, I mean, it depends on in the process of the REO, whether or not they're receiving offers and whether or not they decide to put it to auction.
So let's make
Um,
sure we have
well-
our terms correctly. So
Yeah.
when we say a trustee sale is at the courthouse step when the bank takes position. When
Yes.
we talk about an auction, then it's kind of listed on one of the websites that is dealing with highest and best offers.
Yes.
That's already bank-owned property.
Yes.
Yes, right. And often the properties that go onto the auction portals are there because, once again, the holder of the note doesn't want to deal with there could be some hidden problems with the property, and they
Yeah.
just want to dispose of the asset as soon
Yes, they do.
as possible.
Okay?
Peter has a question too.
That was more about the whiteboard, but since he is talking about the whiteboard, usually the whiteboard is for our real estate field trip, which is going to be online this Saturday. And we're going to have an interesting fix and flip out in El Cajon.
Yeah, it's not Oceanside, yes.
Yeah, in El Cajon, and we're doing the same thing. We're going to have a video and the investor talk us through the deal, how he found it, what the scope of service is, and then we're going to run the numbers on it.
Because if I'm not mistaken, that's an REO as well. That property is an REO.
Yeah, that exactly. Yeah, this was an REO. So anything else you want to add, Sandy, about foreclosures and what you see? I mean, all I can tell that.
She should want everybody to be on her email list.
Yeah, well, that's why I had her information out there. So
Where'd it go?
Mm-hmm.
here we are. Okay, so
There we go.
exactly, and I just for this time around, I think we're out a year at least.
I would have to agree with Lenska on that. I think that let's see what happens with this COVID. Okay, let's see if there's another outbreak come the fall or winter, when everybody gets sick anyways, right? Everybody starts to get sick, so maybe there'll be another outbreak. Could there be another shutdown? Who knows, right?
Well, between now and the fall, you know they're going to keep everybody in their home.
Yeah. So
Well, people aren't working. That's
Well,
not good.
you got that stay at home, that California, our state has that already. Stay in your home, California.
Mhm.
yeah. So obviously, looking at houses, these are all the. I trailed off by 14. Okay, but that's kind of my clients. They were saying prices are going to go down. Remember last time we said about that 9 out of 10 buyers actually think prices should go down. So there will be some pressure on pricing no matter what, okay? Then lenders are harder to work with. The speed things are going to close, things, appraisal delays. But really, it's all about the behavior of buyers and sellers, right? Plus, if the interest, I mean, the interest rates are going to stay low.
Yes.
But there is no way around it. But I mentioned to you the condos versus detached, the urban versus suburban, and will vacation homes first are the ones first to go?
Yeah. They're going right now.
There are different opinions. So I listened to a webinar where they had Truckee, Lake Tahoe, Colorado, Utah, and some northern ski resort. And they're actually pretty busy. First of all the owners came up and stayed at home, ordered in their mountain cabin. Okay? So, and now we're coming back to Airbnb. So once those stay-at-home orders are lifted, the first thing people are going to rush over to Las Vegas, to Mexico, and into the mountains. Because what will happen in summertime? No sports, no weddings, no
So we'll have sports in summer.
Are you sure? I'm still.
Absolutely. We already got NASCAR racing starting next week.
Oh, good. Now something the guys can stay busy with. And by the way, all I need to know if Monday football comes back, because then I need to put the call on a different night.
Now, this is Peter, and I just want to thank Sandy because I learned a lot tonight, and I appreciate you taking the time to participate. And I'll send you an email and get on your list. But that's really helpful. And one of my takeaways is that because this crisis is so different from the 2008 meltdown, and because the difference in equity and the difference in qualification of the borrowers, and in the new stricter lending policies, and in the San Diego area, the lack of listings, I think it's going to be a different. Leo's a lot more experience than you real estate agents, or Lenska and Sandy, but I just don't see this being a repeat. There's too many different.
No, this will not be a repeat of 07, 8, and 9.
Remember, that crisis was a housing crisis. So
That was a mortgage crisis. That was a
Yeah,
loan crisis.
Yeah, so there was but remember, every crisis since the last 100 years was a debt crisis, or even
Yes.
remember the tulip bulb crisis,
Right.
the debt crisis. So all the recessions were initiated by debt. And I'm still betting on the CLOs, the corporate debt pools they are doing. You can see that the Fed had to open another entity in order to buy junk rated corporate bonds. Okay, so there is so much money being printed. That will be the next, maybe that should be our next topic. Will we see hyperinflation or not? I already dug out, oh, you guys are here. I already dug out my German. Can you guys see it?
Oh my God.
$1 million marks, which was 1933 or whatever. So
Oh my God.
I have a whole, so speaking Weimar Republic. So we had that poll. So here it is. Let's see how your behavior will be. Oh, so the people that are dealing are here. I said, will you attend large group above 55 live meetings again? So if you're listening, just give us your vote. And so far, we have 67%. So, we don't have that many, but share results. So yes, so we all will get back to live meetings. Okay?
Yes.
So prefer Zoom or webinars. All right, so meaning I'm even out of a job doing Zoom webinars. I like webinars a lot. because it cuts down my time and I can do something besides, and I'm listening to something if they're really good.
And you don't have to drive.
Yeah, even so, I have really no car to drive, right? And gas is cheap. That's another one. So I think if anybody else has a question for Sandy, just unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, I'm going to, just remember how to help me with sharing and liking, and don't forget your homework. You were supposed to exercise, eat healthy, study, learn new skill, and connect with new people. So today, definitely, Sandy, thank you so much for connecting with us and giving us the outside view. And I promised her it won't be a 4-hour Zoom call, okay?
Oh, that's what I had yesterday.
So it looks like, so this is my little market update. You find that on YouTube, and I'm also serving on the board of SDCIA, okay? And on this Saturday, we have our online field trip. And thank you so much, everybody, for attending, for your questions, input, and
Let me have that input, because this Saturday, if nobody's out at the beach, that the property we're going to display is a pretty cool property. So it has got a lot of different factors, and how he acquired it and what he's doing with it and what he's going to sell it at. So this Saturday's, field trip per se, it'll be a good one.
yeah. But also those field trips, by the way, I am recording them, but I'm not publicly posting them.
No, yeah, because you charge.
So, yeah, so just so you guys, so some of it I do, and some of it I don't. So because some it is private information there, and so that's why. And
In fact, I think Mahesh may know the property.
Where do you say it was? In El Cajon?
Carlo's property.
Oh, no,
On Winter Gardens?
it's not in, yeah, I'm not aware of that one.
Okay, so you didn't lend on that one. Okay.
No, I did one on
Paradise Hills.
Paradise Hills, yes.
Yeah.
okay, is everybody good?
Yeah.
Just a quick question. So you have this we posted on your YouTube site?
I have this Zoom call. I have. Is it okay with you to post it?
Yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I'm asking so that if somebody wanted to go and get more information about this call and about you. they can go to your-
Yeah. I will post it. I think, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, you're okay with
Oh
posting?
no, I'm fine. But I just wanted so I can be able to say, go find
Yes.
Lenska.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you guys can always find me. Like you have seen it all evening long. And Mahesh, can you repeat what you said, that the 2 properties I sold you are perfectly performing and they doubled in value?
More than, I would say more than double, but
More than double.
Wonderful. That's
who's
Okay.
counting?
That's a good one to close out. Thank you, everybody, and
thank you.
take
Thank
on
you.
San Diego real estate.
Thanks,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.